what's happening around the world
and what's happening here at home. A very good evening. You're watching Primetime News coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. Bringing you the news, I'm Mariam Kanamichaya.
and I'm Sandra Ferdinando. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
A trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD, a symbol of stability.
Major General Janaka Pereira's murder is suspicious. Relatives call for the matter to be investigated again. What is happening to the investigations into the MiG and Airbus deals? Victims of the 2020 Mahara prison riot stage protest in Colombo, demanding for justice. Projects have not been stopped. Japanese ambassador says that several projects, including the BIA project, have been resumed. Warning from Maradagaha Mullah of a possibility that rice stocks may run out.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
A trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD, a symbol of stability.
In a top story for tonight, relatives of late Major General Janaka Pereira have launched a complaint at the Ministry of Public Security calling for a proper investigation into his murder. In their complaint, they point out that this murder is suspicious.
29 people, including Major General Janaka Pereira and his wife, were murdered in a bomb attack in Anuradhapura on the 6th of October 2008. A decorated member of the military, Major General Janaka Pereira, served in the capacity of the Chief of Staff of the Sri Lanka Army. After retiring from this position, he served in Sri Lanka's diplomatic service. Later, he contested the election for the post of Chief Minister of the North Central Province against the government at the time. He was murdered along with 27 others while he was on his campaign when a bomb went off in Anuradhapura. Newsfirst correspondent Rashmi Maharoof also passed away in this attack. At the time, it was concluded that this was a suicide bomb attack launched by the LTTE. However, a brother of late Janaka Pereira and another relative lodged a complaint at the Ministry of Public Security today, saying that they believe that this murder is suspicious.
Major General Janaka Pereira suicide kara kela LTT suicide.
They say that Major General Janaka Pereira was murdered in an LTTE suicide bomb attack, but we have received reports that who was a member of the Madavachia Provincial Council was connected to this. Major General Janaka Pereira and his wife was murdered. We came to the ministry and want to tender this letter seeking justice for this incident. We will be presenting this to the President as well. We have also forwarded this to the security forces. Today we requested for this matter to be investigated.
Discussions regarding two serious incidents of corruption and fraud have come back into the limelight. These are the infamous MiG deal and the Airbus deal. Details regarding these scandals are being brought back to the limelight after the United States imposed sanctions on two former Sri Lankan officials, Udayanga Veeratunga and former chairman of Sri Lankan Airlines, Kapila Chandrasena, for their involvement in these corrupt transactions. According to the US Department of State, the United States has taken these actions to promote accountability for perpetrators of corruption and human rights abuses around the world. These two individuals, including their immediate family members, are also barred from entering the United States. The statement issued from the US Department of State said that Veeratunga orchestrated and personally benefited from a corrupt scheme involving the procurement of MiG aircraft for the Sri Lankan Air Force. Former CEO of Sri Lankan Airlines, Kapila Chandrasena, has been designated for his involvement in significant corruption. According to the US Department of State, Chandrasena accepted a bribe while serving in his capacity as Sri Lankan Airlines CEO in exchange for ensuring that Sri Lanka purchased Airbus aircraft for over market value. What are these infamous deals? The MiG deal began in the year 2006. There was a requirement for the purchase of 4 MiG-27 type aircraft, and for repairs to be carried out on 3 similar aircraft and also a MiG-23 type aircraft. Instead of carrying out this transaction as a government-to-government deal between Sri Lanka and the Ukraine, the then Sri Lankan ambassador to Russia, Udayanga Veeratunga, had intervened in the transaction and struck a deal with another company as an intermediary. According to the deal that was entered into between Sri Lanka and this intermediary company, the company was paid a sum of $15 million. This amount was paid when the deal could have been concluded for a sum of just $7.5 million. A sum of $7.5 million had gone into the hands of a third party through this intermediary company. This massive scam was first revealed by veteran journalist Lasantha Vikramatunga. He made this revelation through an article he published on the Sunday Leader newspaper on the 29th of July 2007. He also revealed that this intermediary company was a shell company. Lasantha Vikramatunga continued to reveal details regarding this massive scam, and in January 2009, he was murdered. Investigations into this scam began after the change in government that occurred in 2015, and Udayanga Veeratunga, Sri Lanka's former ambassador to Russia, was arrested on the 24th of March 2018 in the United Arab Emirates. After his case came up in court on several days, he was released on bail. The case filed against him was taken up at the Fort Magistrates Court on the 4th of December this year, and the matter was further postponed to the 7th of May 2025. The United States has imposed sanctions against Udayanga Veeratunga against such a backdrop. This was his response to these developments.
It is problematic that the Americans have last night or today remembered this accusation that was leveled 10 years ago. I would like to say that if some corrupt activity has occurred in the country, the Attorney General's department is responsible for addressing it, and the court system is also there. Do not repeat the acts of political vengeance similar to what happened in 2015.
What is this Airbus deal? This was a deal through which an attempt was made to solicit a bribe of $16.84 million. During the period between 2012 and 2013, a decision was made to remove 13 aircraft from the fleet of Sri Lankan Airlines and replace them with 14 new Airbus aircraft. Sri Lankan Airlines entered into an agreement with the French Airbus company for the purchase of 6 A330 aircraft and 4 A350 aircraft. This deal was initiated with the intervention of an intermediary. The Serious Frauds Office of the United Kingdom had investigated this incident and revealed much details of the fraud and corruption embedded in this deal. It was revealed that a senior official at Sri Lankan Airlines was promised a bribe of $16.84 million, out of which $2 million had been paid. This senior official was the then head of Sri Lankan Airlines, Kapila Chandrasena. Based on these revelations, the Criminal Investigations Department in Sri Lanka launched an investigation into this deal. Several arrests were also made. However, it does not seem that these investigations had progressed any further. The United States imposed sanctions on Kapila Chandrasena and his immediate family against such a backdrop.
The Minister of Justice acknowledged the government's challenge in restoring credibility to the justice system.
The biggest challenge for us, being the government, is to bring back credibility to the system of justice, bring back credibility to these institutions. It has not been easy. People just don't trust the system, and people are not at fault. So now, some of the actions we intend to do is to bring back that credibility to the organization. Transparency, those things must be there. Of course, I do understand there are certain things still in the interest of justice that should be kept away, but law reform. Laws has to reform, implementation has to be there, and above all, we have to have a reform of attitudes also in the public in general. Because when it comes to change, the biggest resistance is the popular belief about something. I firmly believe that when it comes to the PTA, the Online Safety Act, these are going to be revisited very soon. And I don't think our government will have to work from the scratch, because there's already a lot of work that has been done. There are about 20 laws which has been presented in a bill form to the Parliament, so that will be looked into. So most of these things will be given priority. We have a massive mandate, but that doesn't mean we are going to be stubborn or arrogant about it. We will always consult the stakeholders, bring them on board. whatever the decision we take.
In news-making headlines tonight, a protest was staged in Colombo today, demanding justice for the prisoners who were killed during the 2020 Mahara prison riot.
The Committee for Protecting Rights of Prisoners had organized this protest under the theme Yuktiya Pagamana. The protesters attempted to march on foot from Colombo Fort railway station to the President's office. Later, the protesters marched towards the President's office. Family members of the deceased prisoners, civil society activists, lawyers and religious leaders were among those who joined the protest march. Several protesters were given the opportunity to meet with the President's Director General.
During
the discussion, we pointed out the importance of serving justice for the murders of the Mahara prisoners. They agreed that justice must be done. They acknowledged the need for the evaluation process for prisoners to be carried out efficiently and systematically. The Director General is to inform the President regarding this today. He promised to hand over the letter submitted by us.
India's Adani Ports and Special Economic Zone Limited said it has withdrawn a funding request from the US International Development Corporation for its Colombo West International Terminal project in Sri Lanka.
Reuters reported that India's Adani Ports and Special Economic Zone Limited said it would finance its Colombo Port Terminal project through internal accruals and capital management plan, withdrawing its request for funding them from the US International Development Finance Corp. DFC last year said it would provide $553 million in financing for the port terminal project, which is partly owned by the Adani Group. The company, however, said the Colombo West International Terminal project is progressing well and is on track for commissioning by early 2025. Last month, US authorities accused Adani Group chairman Gautam Adani and 7 others for being part of a $265 million scheme to bribe Indian officials and of misleading US investors while raising funds there. The Reuters report added that the ports to power conglomerate has termed the allegations baseless and said it would seek all possible legal recourse.
US Ambassador to Sri Lanka Julie Chung expressed the United States' commitment to build a brighter future for Sri Lanka. She expressed these views while attending the 20th anniversary of the American Corner in Kandy.
The US Embassy in Sri Lanka and the Kandy Municipal Council marked the 20th anniversary of the American Corner in Kandy yesterday, celebrating 2 decades of fostering cultural and educational ties. The event was held at the D.S.N. Anayaka Memorial Library. The event featured a cake-cutting ceremony, followed by an exhibition highlighting a selection of works carried out by the Kandy American Corner over the past 2 decades.
American spaces all around the region are modeling themselves after Kandy as a prime example, because you've shown the success of what you can do on reconciliation, youth leadership, and community engagement. Your president said there is no room for racism or extremism in this country. We want to celebrate all your differences and diversity and bring together everybody into one unified, peaceful community. And that's why I'm so proud that the American Corners have been able to contribute to that vision, bringing people together, no matter what your background, language, religion, economic level, whether you're a man or a woman, whatever it is. So I look forward to seeing what the next 20 years brings and beyond, because this is where hopes and dreams start. But not just dreams, making dreams and turning those dreams into action and real concrete ideas and projects so that young people here have a future.
During the event, former mayors and deputy mayors of Kandy engaged in friendly discussions with members of the Kandy American Corner. The U.S. Embassy in Sri Lanka, in partnership with the Ministry of Culture and Department of Archaeology, celebrated the reopening of the newly restored Old Kandyan King's Palace and Archaeology Museum located within the sacred temple of the Tooth Relic Complex today. The ceremony was attended by U.S. Ambassador Julie Chung and Minister of Buddha Sasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs, Professor Sunil Senavi.
Investing in these sites is vital for preserving history and culture, and we remain dedicated to collaborating on more projects together to honor Sri Lanka's heritage. In 2025, next year, we're looking forward to continuing our partnership to fund a new project at another World Heritage Site. Preserving the history will ensure that young Sri Lankans stay connected to their country's story and that visitors from around the world can better understand today's Sri Lanka.
The project was funded through a grant of $265,000 from the U.S. Ambassador's Fund for Cultural Preservation.
Japanese ambassador to Sri Lanka, Isomata Akio, has said that Japan has resumed its suspended projects, including the Bandaranaike International Airport project. He expressed these views during his visit to Kandy this morning.
During a visit to Kandy today, Japanese ambassador to Sri Lanka, Isomata Akio, called on the chief prelate of the Malwatu chapter, Most Venerable Tibbutwave Sri Sumangala Thera.
Tooth Relic Chamber, there is a bulletproof glass donated by Japan.
The Japanese ambassador expressed these views to the media.
We have already resumed suspended projects, big projects, including Bandaranaike International Airport. Because there was some economic slowdown, Japanese government is always working together with JICA, and we will continue to provide assistance through JICA and through other means. Most recently, last week, we have provided emergency assistance goods to those people affected by the most recent heavy rain and floods. We have provided emergency assistance such as sleeping pads, tents, and plastic sheets to help mitigate the effect of the disaster.
The Asian Development Bank has approved a $30 million small expenditure financing facility for the Ceylon Electricity Board.
The Asian Development Bank has approved $30 million Small Expenditure Financing Facility or SCFF for the Ceylon Electricity Board, guaranteed by Sri Lanka to bolster the sustainability of ongoing and future energy sector projects in the country. This is Sri Lanka's first SCFF designed to support the operational sustainability of ADB-financed energy projects, promote initiatives to increase the share of renewable energy and encourage private sector participation in the renewable energy sector. According to the ADB, the SCFF will play a crucial role in supporting Sri Lanka's target to achieve 70% of its electricity generation from renewable energy sources by 2030 as part of its broader energy transition strategy. Of the total $30 million facility, $15 million will be allocated to enhance the operational sustainability of the Morogolla hydropower plant, while the remaining $15 million will support activities aimed at facilitating renewable energy generation and grid integration.
The Department of Meteorology has issued a warning for multi-day vessels in the southeast bay of Bengal Deep Sea. The advisory will remain in effect until 2 p.m. tomorrow.
According to the Met Department, the low-pressure area of the southwest Bay of Bengal is very likely to continue to move west-northwestwards towards the Tamil Nadu coast, close to the northern Sri Lanka, during the next 24 hours. The Met Department urges naval and fishing communities not to venture to the deep and shallow sea areas off the coast extending from Puttalam to Mullaitivu via Kankasanturai and Mannar today. The deep and shallow sea areas off the coast extending from Puttalam to Mullaitivu via Mannar and Kankasanturai will be rough to very rough, as the wind speed can be increased up to 60 to 70 kilometers per hour at times. It added that showers or thunder showers will occur at times in the northern, north-central, eastern and northwestern provinces.
Preliminary discussions at the ministry level for the preparation of the National Budget 2025 was held today under the patronage of President Anura Kumara Dissanayake at the President's office.
The discussion focused on budget proposals related to the expenditure heads of the Ministry of Rural Development, Social Security and Community Empowerment. The meeting also focused on discussing budget proposals related to the expenditure head of the Ministry of Transport, Highways, Ports and Civil Aviation. Subject ministers, ministry secretaries and other relevant stakeholders were also present at the discussion.
Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya outlined Sri Lanka's current foreign policy priorities and the challenges ahead. She expressed these views at the convocation of the Bandaranaike Centre for International Studies.
A country's foreign policy is influenced by its geographical location, population, history, economic resources, ideology, government efficiency, quality of diplomacy, as well as by crises and immediate events, technological advancements, international law and institutions. At best, foreign policy should reflect national interests and offer a perspective on human and global interests of the state. It should not be purposed for the gains of a small political elite. Our main national interest at this point in time is to stabilize our economy and work towards economic recovery. As a part of Asia, the world's largest region in terms of population, a region that is growing economically, but where geopolitical tensions are rising among international and regional powers, our security and regional stability are likely to be challenged. Right now, Sri Lanka's foreign relations are influenced significantly by our attempts to recover from the economic and debt crisis. The way a government does foreign policy does have an impact on the country's citizens, and it is our duty to safeguard the lives and dignity of all Sri Lankans, especially the most vulnerable groups in our society.
How do we handle relations between countries? How do we guarantee the respect of one nation for another's sovereignty, their freedoms? How do we guarantee within one nation the respect of freedom and fundamental rights of the citizens of that nation by their governments? We in Sri Lanka have had bad, very, very painful experience of certain periods of governance where those who governed us threw all those accepted norms out of the window. Our people have spoken loud and strongly. First, publicly through the Aragalaya, and now through two successive elections. They have clearly stated that they want a massive change, a radical change.
The convocation of the Bandaranaike Centre for International Studies was held at the Bandaranaike Memorial International Conference Hall in Colombo today.
Sirasa. The Sri Lanka Freedom Party says that they will in no way again contest under the symbol of the gas cylinder. Treasurer of the party, Lasantha Lagiyawanna, says that Faisal Mustafa received the national list parliamentary seat under the gas cylinder due to an agreement that was made prior to the parliamentary elections.
A special discussion on the upcoming local government election took place at the Sri Lanka Freedom Party headquarters today.
He is a senior vice chairman of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. We are happy that as per the agreement we entered into before the election, our senior vice chairman got a seat in parliament to represent our party. What is this conspiracy? We had an agreement before the elections. His name was in the national list. So what is the conspiracy? No matter what they say, there is no reason for us to be deceived by that. No, never again. We clearly tell all of you that we contest under an alliance led by the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. Now is the time for everyone to unite.
This was the National Party's response.
The first appointment was not made with the consensus of the party or the group. However, the second appointment was made. As for the second appointment, 4 main parties signed an MOU, and 3 of those parties have submitted written confirmations agreeing with the appointment of our Member of Parliament, who was appointed yesterday. Therefore, practically speaking, 3 out of 4 parties agreed to the appointment, which is why it was made. We looked into it and we found that 3 parties had sent letters confirming their agreement with the appointment.
News First with the people.
The Maradagaha Rice Producers Association warns that there is a possibility that rice stocks in the possession of rice mill owners may run out during the next 2 to 3 days.
The stocks of rice coming into the Maradagaha Wholesale Centre from rice mill owners from outside has stopped. Rice is not being brought to be sold. We are releasing the stocks of rice that we have at control prices imposed by the government to consumers and traders. The stocks of rice at shops will end in about 2 days. I also believe that the stocks of rice in the possession of our rice mill owners will also end within the next 2 days. After those stocks of rice are issued to the market, the price of paddy has not dropped yet for us to produce rice. The situation is such that after these stocks of paddy are released, we cannot continue our production. Although we release stocks of rice at 215 rupees or 225 rupees, the traders do not get the rice at that price. They get the rice from an intermediary wholesaler. It is not possible to sell this rice to retail trader with a margin of 5 rupees. A serious issue has arisen in the market because of this.
In some developing news coming in from overseas, South Korean police raided President Yoon Suk-yeol's office today, and one of his top lieutenants has tried to take his own life amid a widening investigation into the US allies' decision to declare martial law last week.
Police raided the presidential office a week after President Yoon Suk-yeol's failed attempt to impose martial law in the country. According to foreign media, Yoon was not in the office at that time. Investigators were tasked to seize records related to cabinet meetings held on the night of the martial law declaration. The raid marks a dramatic escalation of the probe against Yoon and the top police and military officers over the surprise December 3rd martial law declaration that plunged Asia's 4th largest economy into a constitutional crisis. Meanwhile, the defense minister at the time, Kim Yong-hyun, a close confidant of Yoon, attempted suicide at a detention center where he is being held following his arrest on Sunday. According to reports, he is now under observation and his life is not currently in danger. Kim has resigned and apologized for his part in the short-lived imposition of emergency rule, saying he alone was responsible. Earlier today, National Police Chief Cho Ji-ho became the latest top official to be arrested, accused of deploying police to block lawmakers from entering parliament. Yoon is now the subject of a criminal investigation into insurrection allegations and is banned from leaving the country, but he has not been arrested or questioned by authorities.
A trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD, a symbol of stability.
Welcome back to the news. A competition to identify the top entrepreneurs under the title I Am the Sri Lankan Entrepreneur 2024 has been launched by the Chamber of Lankan Entrepreneurs. A media briefing about the competition took place yesterday.
A media briefing for the I Am the Sri Lankan Entrepreneur 2024 award ceremony was held in Colombo yesterday. The I Am the Sri Lankan Entrepreneur 2024 awards aim to recognize outstanding entrepreneurs from all sectors of the economy who have showcased innovation and business acumen on a national scale. The award ceremony is set to take place on the 5th of March 2025.
50 Shots, a book authored by veteran actress Sangeetha Weeraratne, was launched yesterday in Colombo.
Veteran Sri Lankan actress Sangeetha Weeraratne launched her book 50 Shots yesterday in Colombo, marking her 50th birthday. The book features 50 photographs of the actress showcasing her many emotions, fashion and legacy as she completes 50 years of life.
When I was reaching my milestone birthday, I wanted to do something special, something more than just a normal birthday bash. I wanted to create something that would make a lasting impression and do something more that would last, longer than the taste of a slice of cake. And that's when my friend Dilsh stepped in and he suggested, Aki, why don't you do a book to celebrate? This book is more than just pictures. It's a reflection of characters I've encountered, emotions that has touched me, and places that has made an impact in my life. Each page tells a story. Each page, each picture holds a piece. I truly hope you enjoy exploring as much as we enjoyed creating it.
The event was attended by many Sri Lankan artists, well-wishers and fans who gathered to celebrate Sangeetha Weeraratne.
And with that, we wrap up news for tonight.
Thank you very much for joining us. Good night and take care.